Good evening. Welcome to the November 9th City of Fayetteville, Tennessee Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. We'll ask you to stand. Alderman Slaw will say a prayer. We'll do the pledge and we'll start our agenda.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for bringing us safe thus far into this day, and we ask that you go with us now as we conduct the city's business. We thank you, Lord, for going with each of the employees as they carried about the city's business throughout this day. And we ask, Lord, that you be with those that are in need and those that are in bereavement. And it's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. You have your agenda in front of you. Do you have any additions, deletions? Not, the agenda will stand. We'll start with review of the regular meeting minutes of October 12th, 2021. Does anybody have any changes to those minutes?
No.
We'll enter those into record. Item B, public meeting minutes, downtown sidewalk project, October 28th, 2021. Does anybody have any changes or corrections to those minutes? Let those stand in record. We will start out with an oath of office with our new Assistant Chief, Davey Bergman, and then we will swear in 3 firefighters, Will Manning, Alex Mitchell, and Brad Wilson. So Mr. Bergman, if you'll come forward. Raise your right hand. I, Davey Bergman, do solemnly swear that I will honestly and faithfully discharge the duties of the office for the City of Fayetteville, Tennessee, to which I have been appointed, which I am about to assume, without partiality, favor, or affection. I will uphold the constitutions of the State of Tennessee and the United States of America, and the Charter, and the ordinances of the City of Fayetteville. So help me God. Congratulations. Come on up. Face the camera. Raise your hand. I say your names. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and that of the State of Tennessee. That I will obey the laws and the ordinances of the City of Fayetteville. That I will protect the life and property of its citizens. And I will familiarize myself with and be obedient to the rules and regulations, and will faithfully serve the City of Fayetteville in the discharge of my duties as a member of the Fayetteville Fire Department to the best of my knowledge and ability. So help me God. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, we need pictures. You guys first. Let's see. Thank you.
Congratulations.
We'll go to our monthly reports, where I invite Mr. Jason Nix from Fayetteville Main Street to come and give a report.
Thank you for having me. I believe last time I was here reporting, First Fridays was still going on, so I'll start there. Our First Friday events this year went from, I believe, was it March or April? I think it was March through September this year. We ended in September. It was a really good event. I think anybody that had been attended this year could see that it went pretty smooth just about every Friday but one on account of rain that day. But a really good event for the city and for Main Street as well. Next we had our Slaw Burger Festival. Not the driest of Slaw Burger Festivals. We definitely got hampered by the rain on that one, but still have shirts available. I still think it was a good day overall. We got all of our contests in because the rain did subside by early afternoon. But our next Slaw Burger is around the corner, coming up in April. We've reset it back to April. That was the plan from the get-go. So be looking for save our date things coming out for this coming April on the next Slaw Burger. Last event, most recent event we had was our Spirits to Spirits on October 21st. It was basically a walking tour around the square where some of our merchants that we had planned with on the front end had kept their doors open, and we got to walk around I guess we sold tickets for, I think it was 50 or 60, I can't remember how many, but either way it was sold out pretty early. And we appreciate those merchants for staying and taking care of the people that came to walk through their store for that amount of time. Upcoming events, obviously the host is around the corner. I'm not going to steal Carolyn's thunder, but no, that's fine. But we've been working. Obviously, we work with the chamber at that event. But as far as Main Street, we were going to do the Santa pictures that day at our office from 9 to 4 that day. So please, if you know anybody, friends, family, kids, come see us. Also, Friday night before that, we're doing the lighting of the tree ceremony to start off. That's the ceremony that kind of kicks off the host. So that'll be decorated within the next coming days on the courthouse lawn. So please come see us for that event as well. Another event we've got planned that's coming up. We did this a couple years ago, obviously before COVID, was the masquerade ball. We're actually doing a Roaring 20s theme this year, similar to what we had, but that's what they're calling it, the Roaring 20s, or that's what we're calling it. And that will be in January. So be looking for upcoming tickets to be sold. I guess I would say no later than early December to get some tickets pre-sold for that.
That event will be at the museum, right? Is that going to be at the museum?
It will be. So far, that's where our plans are to be at the museum. Yes, it was on the square, but that building's no longer available to us. So right now, the plans are to have that at the museum. And last, our director position. We're finalizing a yearly budget. Hopefully this month or no later than the December month meeting. And we'll have applications to be going out and hopefully fill that position early in 2022. So, anyway.
Is there a price point on the pictures for the Santa?
$20. It's we are doing $20 and going to offer them 3, 4, 5 poses with that. Just a flat $20 sitting fee. Before that, they'll get a link where they can go and kind of print their own, do what they want, or download their own. So.
Any other questions of Mr. Nix? I know the First Friday is a big hit, and it's one of those, by the time the momentum gets caught up, it's time to stop, and then we'll start back up again in the spring.
We finally get it down to hardly any flaws, and then it's over. But there might be a few vamped things we're looking at. That committee's going to start up in January, meeting again, and kind of see what kind of little nuances we can put on it for the upcoming year. But it's, for the most part, it's going to be pretty much the same. Okay.
It seemed to run smooth once everybody once you got the system down on how the vendors came and checked in, and you checked them in from one place and they moved in to their spots and stuff.
Donna's pretty good at that over there. She knows how to shuffle them, get them to the right spots. So. Anyway, any questions at all? Be happy to entertain anything. If not, I thank you as always.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Ms. Carolyn Denton from the Fayetteville Lincoln County Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening. October is the beginning of the new chamber year, and in the past year, since this time last year, we have celebrated with 32 new or expanding businesses here in our community. So I think that speaks very well of our small businesses and our industries here. We also want to thank our outgoing board members, Attorney Garrett Honey, Brian Reeves from Fayetteville Public Utilities, and Matt Slayton from Lincoln County Farm Bureau Insurance. We appreciate their time that they have served on the Chamber Board. Our incoming board members are Vince Byer from Finity Media, Aaron Miles from Edward Jones, and Adam Bagley from Bagley & Bagley Insurance. And all of these folks were nominated and elected by our chamber membership, so we congratulate them. Also nominated by our membership and voted by the membership were our Business and Nonprofit and Individual of the Year. In the Business of the Year category was Buckley Farm. Nonprofit of the Year was Junior's House Child Advocacy Center. And our official Individual of the Year was Sheriff Maury Blackwelder. So we congratulate them, and they were recognized at our banquet a couple of weeks ago. As Jason said, we're looking forward to this coming weekend. We'll begin with our opening ceremony at 5 o'clock on the courthouse lawn. And we'll also be announcing the winner of the Name the Reindeer mascot contest. That's something that was new. If you'll notice on our logo, it's a little reindeer, so he has a name. But we won't announce that until 5 o'clock on Friday. And in addition to that, we're having live reindeer this year, so we're looking forward to that, and they will be located in what we know as the old Sirs lot, but it's the lot beside the Methodist Church. We want to encourage everyone to pick up a brochure. There are a lot of things that are going on throughout the weekend, some things that happen only once during the weekend, some at a certain time, so you'll want to make sure that you plan your weekend out. Brochures are available through any of our sponsors or on hostofchristmaspass.com, so we encourage you to do that. Also on the brochure is a map that shows the event locations, but it also shows the trolley stops and the shuttle stops and routes, so we can transport people from one place to another, and maybe you won't have to walk quite as far. But want to make sure that you know everything that's going on, and we do want to thank all of the city departments for stepping up and helping us this year. Volunteers were a little scarce, so the city has really come to our rescue: police, fire, rec department, and public works. And I'm sure all of you all that answered the phone, we thank you too, because you had to answer a lot of questions. But we're excited about the weekend and hope that everybody will have a good time. And we've also selected the Governor's Volunteer Star Award, the adult recipient. I'm not sure that they have received their notification in the mail, so I don't want to announce their name just yet, but you can watch the EVT for an article about that in the coming weeks. So.
I think there'll be some activities upstairs here on Saturday, won't they?
Pardon me?
I think there's going to be some activities upstairs.
Yes,
related
yes.
to
The
host
Santa's
here.
Warrior gift shop will be upstairs and downstairs, and that the proceeds to that will go to the Warrior Project. And I might mention that every event or vendor that takes place during the weekend of host benefits a nonprofit, a local nonprofit. So that's something that kind of sets us apart from other festivals.
And for those that attend, they'll need to come in the side entrance. So.
Yes.
Any questions on this, Carolyn?
Look forward to seeing y'all.
All right, thank you so much. We'll go into our standing committee reports. We'll go to the fire department, Chief Kimbers and a class. We'll ask Assistant Chief Davey Bergman to come and give a report.
Thank you, Mayor. For the month of October, the Fayetteville Fire Department ran 108 calls for service. 90 of those were EMS calls, 5 motor vehicle accidents, and 2 hazmat related. That is my report.
Any questions, Mr. Bergman? Thank you. We'll go to the police department, Mr. Casillas.
Thank you, Mayor. For the month of October, I had 124 incidents, 72 arrests, 48 citations, 1,596 police events. Criminal investigations, we had a total of 723 cases on hand, 9 cases opened, 7 cases closed, and 1 grand jury presentment. That's my report.
Any questions, Mr. Casillas? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll go to finance, Ms. Stacy Roselle.
Good evening. For the month of October, we received $256,782.18 in local option sales tax. That brings our year-to-date realized total to $797,461.97. The FY21 audit is still in progress, and we continue to accept 2021 property tax payments through the month of February without penalties.
Any questions, Ms. Rozelle? Thank you. We'll go to the Recreation Department, and that will go to our new director, Mr. Brian Carter.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have completed the Christmas wreaths and bows. They were installed around the square. As of today, our Christmas lights were around Stonebridge Park were put up. We're currently working on maintenance projects around the rec center and around the parks, and we're planning on the Christmas parade. We're accepting applications for the Christmas parade and the bright night and festive lights, memorial trees. And in the future, we're working with the host of Christmas Past and the bright lights and the festive lights on December the 3rd, and the Christmas parade on December the 4th. Any questions?
Parade starts at 5?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yes.
And the lighting on the 3rd, what time on the lighting?
The lighting on the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Colby?
I don't recall off the top of my head, I'm sorry. Johnny said 5:30.
5:30.
5:30.
Any questions, Mr. Carter? Thank you. Go to Public Works, Mr. Eddie Plunkett.
Thank you, Mayor. Month of October, we had 259 ton of trash, 146 ton of brush, and 21 ton of leaves. I'd like to ask everyone not to put their leaves in plastic bags when they're putting them out. Just wreck them out on the side of the street and we'll get them. We've got a crew running leaf machines pretty well every day now, so just bear with us, we'll be there when we can get there. Thursday is Veterans Day. We will be open. We're done getting calls, we're going to be running that day. We will be picking up trash and everything as normal. Thursday the 25th is Thanksgiving. We will not pick up trash on Thursday, but if you'll put your Thursday's trash out Thursday night, we will run Friday. That's my report, Mayor.
Any questions, Mr.
I
Plunkett?
just had one, that the street sweeper has been down. Has it been repaired yet?
They're working on it,
I
Ms.
see.
Dorothy. It's still down.
Waiting on parts?
I think we've got all the parts in right now.
Just gotta get it done,
It's
okay.
in 100 pieces in the shop right now, so they're working on getting it back together.
Okay, thank you.
Go Ms. Christy Gentry, Planning and Codes.
Thank you, Mayor. 7 permits were issued last month. The total project valuation was $60,372. The total permit fees were $367. I wanted to mention that Mr. Williams passed his residential exam on Friday, and he's already begun studying for the commercial exam. The property maintenance log is in detail on your iPads. There were 31 new violations last month, including 1 court case that has had a successful outcome. The Planning Commission meeting in October, 2 minor plats were approved. 1 was located in the city and 1 was located in the urban growth boundary. The Commission is in the preliminary stages of reviewing the sign ordinance. There will be a mini work session before their November meeting to discuss this project. The 2 other items that were on their agenda is on the agenda tonight under regular business, and that will be to call for the public hearing for rezoning 516 Adams Street and the zoning ordinance amendment. Lastly, I wanted to reiterate what Ms. Denton said earlier and personally thank all city departments for their help with the preparation for the host and their commitment to help set up and tear down on Saturday. I've had to call them a lot this year due to the lack of volunteers, and I just wanted to personally thank them and the board for their support for this festival.
Any questions, Ms. Gentry? Thank
Thank you.
We'll go see the Administrator's Report, Mr. Howell.
First off, I'd like to welcome Brian Carter as new Recreation Director. Look forward to working with him. And lastly, I want to remind everyone, November 25th, 26th, City office will be closed to observe Thanksgiving. That's my report, Mayor.
Any questions, Mr. Howell? All right, we don't have any unfinished business. We'll go into new business. These items that we'll discuss have been talked about in committees and at work sessions. So item A, we had a paving bid. The original bid came in at 33,500, but two streets were taken off and knocked down to $119,500 for paving of several streets. And let's see, Curtis Askins and Dunn Roman were dropped for this time because the utilities have some work to do before we pave those roads. So I need a motion and a second to accept $119,500 by Lincoln Paving for the paving of several streets.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept this bid of $119,500 from, this would come from the bond fund.
A second.
Any discussion?
I will say that Adam, on this project, Adam Street will be paved, and that's where we put the new bridge in at, down on the other side of Oak Street. There will be a parking, the city has a parking lot between Cahoots, the Norman Furniture, and that area back in there. That will be paved, and the city has a parking lot down at the old craft building, off of Lynn Drive down to Stonebridge Park. That will be paved, and that will also have some new lighting put in also. So this is a project that will be in this project.
Any other discussion? Pam, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Item pass. Item B, North Street Drainage Project Basin Project Precast Structure Approval requested. This is a letter from SJ&L to Croy Engineer. The letter states that Croy will not be held accountable with precast structures due to conflicts in the field or changes of plans. This was discussed at Public Works Committee, Finance, and work session. Need a motion, a second to approve.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion?
Second.
Pam, call the roll, please.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Item pass. Item C, call for public hearing zoning ordinance amendment to allow self-serve storage units in Industry 1 District as a special exception. This was discussed at Planning Commission, discussed at a work session, and basically it is the old first-class printing building down off of 6th Avenue. This would allow a special exception that if a person wanted to do storage units, but then the parcel would still stay within Industry I-1 specifications if there was any other future economic development. Need a motion, a second?
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? Pam, call the roll, please.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Item passed. Item D, call for public hearing rezone of 516 Adams Street from C3 to R3. We have a parcel, which is it's just a little small parcel at C3. We need to call for a public hearing in December. The rezone would actually make all that residential. Need a first and second to call for public hearing.
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Second, Mr. Alder. Any discussion? Pam, call the roll, please.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Item passed. Item E, request for funding for ADT upgrade at the Humane Society. Humane Society came to finance this month. They have an analog ADT security system. This would upgrade to digital. They came asking for an amount of $1,912.50 to upgrade on a yearly agreement with ADT. We passed this, or we discussed passing this on the contingency that the county would go 50-50 with the city. So I need a motion and a second, please.
Mr. Mayor,
No, go ahead.
I move that we we approve this request contingent on the county doing half of it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Pam, call the roll, please.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alderman?
Aye.
Item passed. Item F, ordinance 2021-14, policy and procedures for open records requests. Mr. Hill, will you explain what we're proposing to do on this?
Mayor, we've had a policy in place for how we handle open records, public record requests made to the city, and we've had a few situations that we thought something wasn't covered by our existing policy, which caused us to reevaluate it, and in the process of doing so, found that the Open Records Council for the state had a model policy. So basically, I've used their model policy and adapted it to the city and prepared what's now ordinance 2021-14.
Need a motion and a second to approve.
Mayor, move to approve ordinance 2021-14.
Second.
Second, Mr. Martinez. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to ask a question here. Should we consider putting in this ordinance an exception for the alderman? Are we exempt from requesting open records? Can we just come to the office and request them? Do we have to fill out the request? Are we charged? Or would we charge up to a certain limit?
Mr. Hill?
It'd be up to the board to make that change to what's proposed. That's the board's will.
What are the thoughts of the board?
We have one current in place now for requesting for everyone, including the city officials.
Mm-hmm.
There's already one in place.
The only amendment we're making is the thumb drive.
Right, and that's what's added to this.
Mm-hmm.
We've already got one in place. My opinion is we don't need to add to this one because there's one already speaking to the public records, in my opinion.
But this doesn't clarify if the aldermen are charged or not charged, and it does not specify a certain amount, up to a certain amount, because I know that has come into factor recently. So I think we need to address that.
Well, when you say a certain amount, what is the amount?
I mean, that's an amount that we would need to set. I mean, if an alderman came in and requested records, are they to be charged for these records? Are they charged at the same fees that are currently on this ordinance that we're voting in? Are they exempt? Are they exempt? Are they excluded up to a certain amount?
And there's not an exemption in this as is prepared, and as far as I can recall, there wasn't an exemption of that nature in the prior policy as well.
No.
So you're saying, Mr. Hill, that if the alderman comes into the office and requests open records request, are we charged these fees that we're about to vote on?
The way the proposed ordinance is prepared, you would not be exempted from it. No one is exempted from it.
So the way the ordinance is now, for the alderman to do their job, if they need printed records, they will have to pay these fees. I just want to clarify that we know that's what we're voting for.
Well, let's add something. Alderman Hartman, you mentioned something the other day about talking to MTAS.
Mm-hmm.
I asked the city attorney to call the same person to get some clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Can you speak to that, Mr. Hill?
I did speak to Alicia Hodge, who is the attorney at MTAS who handles our affairs, and she did say that if a public official made a public records request for copies, obviously we would handle that the way we would handle a public records request. But with respect to what the city is providing the mayor and alderman presently with copies of all the matters that are considered every cycle, that she regarded that as being a courtesy, something that was provided as a courtesy, and that the city could do that either electronically or by paper, and that she was aware of cities that did it electronically and aware of cities that did it by paper. It was just a courtesy, and it was the city's decision on how to provide that. But again, if a public records request were made, obviously we would handle that the way we would any public records request.
Any other discussion? Pam, call the roll.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Item passed. Item G, recommendation to hire outside counsel on legal issues. Mr. Hill, will you speak to this?
We've had a situation arise, and under the charter, it's one of my job responsibilities that if I feel like I have a conflict, to bring that to the board and make a recommendation for hiring outside counsel, and that's what I'm doing in this situation. I have spoken to Steve Elliott, who is an attorney that has represented the city in previous matters, and he had indicated to me that he would be willing to handle this matter at what I thought was a commercially reasonable rate, and that he had handled matters of this nature for the city of Winchester and an Estill Springs governmental entity. So I am requesting that the board hire outside counsel to handle this matter, and it's my recommendation that we go with Mr. Elliott at the rate that he's quoted us.
And a motion, a second.
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Alder. Discussion?
I do have some discussion on this matter. I just want to make the public aware that this is going to cost the taxpayers if it's voted in at the rate at $250 an hour. Not really sure why we're voting for this action, because this is a matter that should have been handled in the HR department or by the city administrator. I kind of question, does this board know all the facts on this issue? I mean, we're voting for $250 an hour to spend or waste, however how you want to say, the taxpayers' money at the rate of $250 an hour. I have a question for Mr. Howell. You know, as a city administrator, that you've had to make some hard calls, or a city administrator has to make some hard calls sometimes and difficult decisions when it comes to personnel matters. You and the HR employee, I'm not sure if it's a coordinator or generalist, get paid to make those hard decisions. I just want to know, was there an attempt made by either of you to settle this matter? Was anything brought to the parties together to agree on some sort of settlement or solution? Was there any sort of resolve offered in this matter?
No, ma'am. And reason being, let me explain. In this situation, it was taken to the city attorney because the situation we have an elected official and an employee. This position of mine, and like any other department head, is over employees and can discipline and handle employees. In this position by charter, it has nothing to do with aldermen. We have nothing that we can, in this position, do or say to aldermen. The reason it was taken to the city attorney is because of that scenario in itself. There is nothing that we can do in this position. So it was taken to the city attorney, to him to look at and review.
So you couldn't have tried some sort of solution to settle this between the two parties? That's what
I don't know of anything I could have done because, like I say, if it would have been employee on employee, yes, ma'am, that could be handled. But when the issue is becomes a city administrator position is dealing with an alderman and an employee, that's a separate situation. It's not covered by charter. If it had been in the charter, it could have very well been done, but it's not covered in charter. I think, in my opinion, that is part of the biggest problem we got is nothing covers it in charter on how to handle it. I think
That's the
that is
reason why we're
one.
asking for outside counsel. And it's not uncommon for the city in the past to go to outside counsel. For certain situations, if the city attorney felt like it was needed for somebody that maybe had better experience in that realm.
Mr. Howell, can you tell us who the accused is?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
I didn't hear you.
Can you tell us who the accused in this situation is?
No, ma'am, I'm not going to get into that here. No, ma'am, I'm not.
Okay. Well, I'll get the elephant out of the room. I'm the alderman. Just so everybody knows. We don't have to tiptoe around that. I'm not sure if this is well, let me read this first. In the personnel manual rules on page 7, 1.3, it says the following personnel are not covered by this personnel policy manual unless otherwise provided and as statutorily required and are classified in the exempt class. There are 9 classes. Number 1, all elected officials. There is a note in 1.3 that says some policies apply to all employees and officers of the city, including those placed in the exempted classes above, such as policies related to discrimination or harassment or policies required by state law or federal law. Neither one of these complaints were discriminatory, harassment, related to federal or state laws. So I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, Alderman. We have on that same policy manual, the current policy manual, on page 52 that goes into page 53. We have a sentence that states the city employees will not be harassed, bullied. There's several words in there, and elected officials as part of the sentence.
It also says in that section 6.5 that a single act generally does not constitute abusive conduct. But I'm just saying here that I'm not sure if this is an attempt to silence me or censor me because I'll always ask the hard questions, or because I took up for myself. But I'm elected to be a steward of the taxpayers' money. That's what I intend to do. And even with this attack on me, I will still always be an advocate for the people, and I will always be honest. I'm confident, very confident, that I have done nothing wrong. I have not violated any laws or done anything unethical to either of these employees, or anyone else for that matter. But I do need clarity. I'm not sure, Mr. Howell, if it would go to you or to Mr. Hill. What exactly are we voting on? What do we want this outside legal person, counsel, to do? Are we setting a process for how employees will file a complaint against an elected official? Will this cover any employee that wants to file such a complaint? Not just these 2 employees? I mean, is this a single act to cover 2 employees, or is it open for all employees? Or is it just to scrutinize me? I'm not really
Mr. Hill.
And I don't want to preset any standards for how an outside attorney would handle that. I think that's the whole point of bringing somebody in from outside, is for him to have his own examination of the existing policies and for him to make his own determination, or her, make his or her own determination of how to proceed with this. And he or she may find that there's nothing here that merits any actions. But that's the whole point, is that I feel like I have a conflict. And again, under the charter, I'm to bring that to the board and make a recommendation to hire outside counsel and make a recommendation of who to hire. And I feel like I've tried to do what the charter tells me to do here. And that's really all that's before the board tonight, is whether to do that. And then where it goes from there will be in the hands of the outside counsel potentially.
Will this motion include hourly cap? I mean, is it going to be unlimited hours? Is it going to be unlimited money? Because we all know this can become quite costly, and it's on the taxpayers' back. It's not on our backs. So we need to think about that. After all of this is an HR issue, and it should have been handled there. Process needs to be fair. Both sides need to be heard. That's the employee and the elected official. And I hope that this outside legal counsel does that. And that's why I asked that question, Mr. Hill, so that, it would be stated that it is to talk to both parties in this. And it is to be applied to all elected officials. It shouldn't be biased. It should not include bullying. And it shouldn't prevent judging like I'm being judged here tonight. That's my comments.
All right. Any other discussion? Pam, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen? Aye. Ms. Slaw?
Aye.
Mr. Alderman? Aye. Ms. Hartman?
No.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Item passed. Item H, Fayetteville City School pay request, JBHM invoice number 2 for gym safe room. As we did last month, since we're helping facilitate the grant on the new TEMA dome for the city school system, this is invoice number 2 for $91,860. We just need to approve it for their bookkeeping.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve it.
Second.
Second, Mr. Martinez. Any discussion? Pam, call the roll, please.
Ms. Allen? Aye. Ms. Slaw?
Aye.
Mr. Alderman?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Item passed. Item I, Fayetteville City School System pay request, Brodus invoice number 1 for gym safe room. This is for $19,336 for topographic survey of new dome. Need a motion, a second, please?
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
Second, Mr. I'd say Mr. Martinez, I think. Any discussion? Pam, call the roll, please.
Ms. Slaw?
Aye.
Mr. Alderman?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
I am passed. Item J, Croy Engineering proposal for Camp Blunt Pavilion for an amount of $6,000. We talked about this in finance and work session. I need a motion, a second to approve.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the $6,000 for the engineering.
Second.
Second, Mr. Alder. Discussion?
Now, this is only for the engineering.
That's correct.
This is not for the
Yeah,
cost of the
it's not going to build the
pavilion.
pavilion. It's not going to build the pavilion. That's
We're
correct.
not allowed to, they're not allowed in that funding they have to, there's no engineering money in that, so this is just engineering for that.
Correct. Any other discussion? Pam, call the roll, please.
Mr. Alderman?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen? Aye. Ms. Small?
Aye.
That item passed. Item K, authorize interim city administrator to request transfer of TDOT funding. This would be if we have another discussion, we have another item on the bill we discussed in finance, we discussed in work session about whether we're going to continue with phase 3 of the Greenway or request for that funding for phase 3 to go to phase 2. So this would be a request to give the administrator the ability to request that transfer contingent item L passes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we authorize the interim city administrator to request a transfer of TDOT funding for Camp Blunt from phase 3 to phase 2.
Second.
Second on down. Discussion. Pam, call the roll, please.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
All right, passed. Last item, item L, Greenway Phase 3, halt status contingent upon transfer of TDOT funding. Ms. Laura Lee Page came and discussed. It was recommended that we halt Phase 3 contingent on the asking TDOT to allow us to move the grant funding from Phase 3 to Phase 2. Need a motion, a second.
Here I move we halt Greenway Phase 3, status contingent upon the transfer of the TDOT funding.
Second.
Take Ms. Martinez, discussion.
We have one thing we need to keep in mind. We're just halting. We're not killing that project. We're just halting it where it's at. We're not saying we're not going no further later.
Any other discussion? Pam, call the roll, please.
Mr. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen? Aye. Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye, passed. We'll go to closing comments. Mr. Martinez.
I want to congratulate the new, well, they've stepped out already, and Dave, congratulations on you too, Dave. It's Thanksgiving this month, and I guess we all need to be grateful and thankful for everything we're blessed with, and congratulations, Brian. I think he's going to be a good fit in with the department. Just want to have everybody have a safe Thanksgiving. Don't forget the veterans this week, next week on Veterans Day, and just want to say thank y'all for everything y'all done, all the department heads.
Alderman Hartman.
Yes, I would just like to say congratulations, Davey, on your promotion to Assistant Chief and to the new fireman. It's good to see young, new people come in and looking at their career and what they can do for the city of Fayetteville. Mr. Carter, I'd like to say also, back up to what Roger had to say, that welcome, and I look forward to working with you. I know you'll do a good job. Also, I just want to say again, I'm very confident that I have done nothing wrong. I have not violated any laws. I have not done anything unethical to these employees or anybody else. I've always fought for our employees and for our taxpayers. So I'm always here to help.
Mr. Alder.
Just want to tell everybody happy Thanksgiving. That's all I've got.
Alderman
Just
Small.
want to tell everyone to enjoy a host of Christmas past this weekend. Be safe, and hopefully the weather will be permitting that it will be a success.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I have something here to me. I really appreciate this. We, of course, we know the Fayetteville, this is an email from a principal down in Red Bank, Chattanooga. Our high school team, which is a 1A team, played them 2 or 4 weeks ago. It's the only game that we lost this year so far. But they're a 4A team. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they might be the reigning state champions. I'm not sure about that. But they're a 4A team, and of course we just 1A. Our team has played 2A teams. It played another 4A team this year, beat them. They didn't win this game. But I've got an email here from a principal. I think it should make us all very proud. Maybe even to look at some of the young people. Maybe, according to this email, that we could take some lessons from. Our team right now, the best I remember, I think we've had the last 33 games that team has played. Our team's played, I believe we've won 30 of them. We've already won the first playoff game, and we're going on further. But I want to read this email. This is an unsolicited email. We didn't solicit this anyway. It is from a principal down in Red Bank. It says, Fayetteville Administration, good morning. I meant to send this message on Saturday and let it escape me, but I would be amiss not to take a moment and thank you all for visiting Red Bank High School and the class act that was your entire program. The coaching staff was respectful and organized. It truly was the first staff in my couple of years that took care of each detail, including making sure their boys ran on the mat across the track in their cleats versus cutting the corner on the track. The locker room was left spotless, and they protected our freshly resurfaced basketball court by making sure their athletes didn't walk on it. Thank you. I want to also mention that your fans were great, as well as your parents, and the students that made the trip. As you know, what I mentioned above is not the norm when hosting. Thank you for making the trip. Thank you for respect and care. Thank you for running a class act. I wish you good luck, and we'll be cheering for a successful championship run. Chris Tillett, Principal, Red Bank High School. I thought that was worth passing on. Thank you.
Ms. Allen?
Just happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and congratulations to the Tigers football team. They won first round of the state playoffs last week, and I'd like to invite everybody to come out and support them this Friday night at 7 o'clock, and they do play at home.
Play Dresden, don't they?
Yes, they play Dresden at 7 p.m.
Okay. I have a few things to state. Veterans Day is Thursday. I know this whole board supports all the veterans and ones that have served and ones that have lost. Mr. Steve Parks with our local EMA has done a lot of time lately to try to go to everybody in our community that normally does a Veterans Day program. They've consolidated it this year into one program. It'll be hosted at Lincoln County High School on Thursday at 8:45 a.m. Everybody's invited. And the intention is each year going forward, they'll rotate between the three high schools. And so, and then also we've had these beautiful American flags we've been put up by FPU on poles, and then by the VFW. Linda Williams was significant in pushing for that with the Warrior Project. COVID numbers have been going down, and the request for testing has been going down. So our Lincoln County Health Department is only testing Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. You can go to cdc.gov for information for vaccinations for children and teens. There's a new vaccination for ages 5 through 11, and also there's vaccination booster shots for those that want a third shot that have been vaccinated. Congratulations to Ralph Askins for being named to Beacon School. That's a very proud achievement. There was an article recently in the Elk Valley Times about that. Thank you for the Elk Valley Times for doing that. And we have some individuals within the school system that have received some invitation and honors. Andre Thomason on our high school football team is invited to compete in the Nashville All-American Bowl in January. It's one of only 80 student athletes to be invited. Gus Hill has been invited to the East-West All-Star Game. Lauren Petty has been selected as a high school Heisman winner. Fayetteville Middle School all-conference football players, congratulations to Keenan Hockett, Freddie Reed, Damian Ring, Braden Serrano, and Jaden Hampton. And then also, Fayetteville High School has been awarded a point of light by the Blue Ribbon Schools for meeting 50% of the indicators needed for the Beacon designation. So we want everybody to have a safe and happy holiday season on Thanksgiving. Everybody come out for host. And then for those that are watching this live, in just a few minutes, you can see one of our recent graduates from Fayetteville High School, Julius Dixon at Morehead State, is playing Auburn University tonight on it's either SEC Network or ESPN. So we'll adjourn this meeting and we'll meet back in December.